Am I the a-hole for not letting my friends use my backyard for their wedding because they do not want me to bring a plus one? Here is the situation. Last summer, I bought my grandparents' house. This house was the hangout spot for my friends, and I thought out our childhood. This includes my friend Dave. The house has a sizable amount of land, which includes a lake and a gazebo. I was supposed to buy the house with my now ex-girlfriend, Leslie. But going through the process of getting approved to buy, I found out that she has massive amounts of credit card and personal debt that she hid from me throughout our 4 years together. I decided to break up as a result. That was about 6 months ago. I met Leslie because Dave's long-term girlfriend, Kim, is Leslie's cousin. Dave and Kim are engaged and set to get married in April. When I was buying the house, they asked if they could have the ceremony at the gazebo, which I agreed to do. In December, I started dating again. Leslie has not taken this well at all. She thinks we are going to get back together and has tried multiple times to make that happen. I have told her in no uncertain terms that isn't happening. Dave and Kim have asked me to not bring a plus one to the wedding for Leslie's sake. I have told them that this request is ridiculous. This wedding is happening at my house, using my land, and I am not allowed to bring a date because of a crazy ex. If that is the case, then they need to find a new venue for the wedding. They are pissed about this given the short time frame of when the wedding is supposed to happen. So we are at an impasse. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I have seen a few things brought up a number of times in the comments, so I will quickly address them here. I am fully aware of the liability issues, which is why I purchased, and they reimbursed me for a special event insurance policy which will provide 100% coverage for any damages, claims, injuries, etc. to any of the property or persons up to $2 million. It is one of the first things we did after I agreed to have the event in my home. The wedding will have a maximum, if every comes, of 75 guests, 5 catering staff, and 5 security staff. The security is because this is an open area that anyone walking past can access. The house has hosted events twice this size, and logistically it has been fine. On the property are 2 cottages, one with 1 bathroom and the other with 2 bathrooms. The only portion of my house that will not be locked during the wedding is the finished basement. The basement has 2 bathrooms. Every person who is single, i.e. not in an established relationship, received an invitation with a plus one, including me and Leslie. This talk came after I sent in my return card and indicated I was bringing a plus one. Now, they are saying they do not want me to have the plus one because Leslie blew up about it, and they are afraid of a blow up at the wedding. Leslie indicated she intends to bring someone on her card. I do not know if she will actually bring someone. Update. So, I met with Dave this morning. We talked for almost 2 hours about everything. I laid it out that I thought he was, at best, a crappy friend. I went through our long history of various things over the years that has me questioning our friendship. That was the bulk of our conversation. We then turned to the breakup with Leslie and the crap show of the last 6 months. Throughout the last 6 months, despite Leslie's craziness, I have bent over backwards to try and accommodate her feelings. She has shown up to my house in the middle of the night. I did not go for a restraining order. When I go out, I do not go to places I know that her and her family like to go. She has implied to her family and mutual friends at various times that I cheated and or that I took advantage of her financially, neither of which is true at all. I have held my tongue to not embarrass her about these things in front of her friends and family. Dave knows all that and yet is demanding, once again, that I put Leslie's feelings before my own. I said, "You and everyone need to stop coddling her like she is a child." Dave concedes that Leslie has been crazy and ridiculous since the breakup. But he says she feels she did not get closure after the relationship. She wants to have an evening where she can talk to you to get that closure. He also told me that Leslie has been very vigilant about paying off her debt and paid off almost $10,000 of the credit card debt. She wants to talk to me about her progress, to see if that might cause me to change my mind. It will not. I asked him, "So, do you expect me to go to the wedding and talk to her?" Because I have her blocked everywhere, and date or not, I do not plan to say a single mumbling word to her. He said, "I fully expect she would lose it if y'all do not talk at the wedding." I told him if that is the case then, for the good of my property, I can't have Leslie come. If she is so unstable that I need to be coerced into a conversation with her, she is too unsafe to be a guest in any capacity in my home. So I have told him, based on what he has told me, Leslie cannot come to my house or on my land. I am willing to still have the wedding at my place, but I cannot trust Leslie won't do something given what you are telling me. Dave lost it at this point. He said, "F you and your crap. I don't need it." So I said, "Then the wedding is off." He left. So that is the state of things. Well, I think one of your key takeaways from this is that you need to start living your life. Stop avoiding places you normally go to. Clarify to people why you broke up, not that you cheated, and put together any evidence of her crazy behavior so you can get a restraining order if needed. You also need to tell people why the wedding isn't happening at your place, as you know they're going to make you out to be the bad guy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my parent out and saying, "This is why I was so effed up as a kid"? Throwaway and phone. I had my parents over for dinner this weekend 60s, and after my daughter 10 asked if she could play us a song she had been practicing on her keyboard, she gets lessons. It wasn't perfect, few missed notes, a couple pauses, but she did really well. She looked up at the end, massive smile, and I started clapping and my parents started laughing. Not just a little chuckle. A massive belly laugh. Them both. My mom asked if it was her first time playing it, and my dad said it had to have been. A dog could have played that better. It was like my daughter was shrinking on the spot, and she looked down and said, "No, I've had 2 lessons, but doing it with 2 hands is hard," and they just laughed even harder. I just stood up, took their cups, and said, "Leave." Now. My mom tried to say about how they hadn't finished their drinks. They wanted to hear another song etc. and said, "Get your stuff and get the F out of my house right now." My dad started doing this huffing thing he does when someone dares to speak up to him, and my mom said that there was no need to be like this. That I can't protect her all the time and she preparing my daughter for the real world. I said, "It's not teaching the real world. They're just nasty little bullies picking on children and crap like this is why I was so effed up as kid." Now leave. They got their stuff and left. I sat with my daughter and explained how proud of her I was and how well she was doing. To ignore them. They were just being cruel because they don't know any other way to be, and asked if she could please play it again, which she did. On the Sunday, I messaged and said that until they can behave like decent human beings that we're taking a break away from them. My dad replied that it was my choice, but he didn't realize he raised me to be so precious. Now my lovely brown-nosing golden child of a sister is getting involved. She phoned me today with my parents' version of events telling me I was a nasty piece of work and should never speak to my parents that way. That I'm wrapping my child in cotton wool and blah blah blah. I just told her to go F herself and hung up. I'm not asking if I'm in the wrong for standing up for my daughter. I'll always do that. But I did go pretty 0 to 100. I kicked them out straight away. I swore at them and in front of my daughter. I did raise my voice at the end when I said leave. I was and still am angry. I don't think I'd even accept an apology from them at this point. This behavior isn't new, it's decades old. But this is the first time it affected my daughter. Did I go too far? React too much? Should I have tried to be calmer? Talk it out? I dunno, am I the a-hole? Edit. Lots of people think I'm a mom, lol. Nope. Single dad. Also, thank you all for your comments. Def calming the anger I felt and making me feel less crap for the way I reacted. Edit 2. I really appreciate all the comments. Even the ones calling me Mama Bear, lol. I never doubted I was in the right for standing up for my daughter. Just how I went about it. I'm gonna sit and talk with my daughter about it all either tomorrow after school or on the weekend. My parents and sister can just disappear for all I care, RN. To all the commenters that said they wish they had someone like me when they were younger, I get it, man. I really do. I hope you got someone now or are able to be that someone. Reading all these comments def changed my anger into sadness/realization that I'm not alone with the crappy parents. Thanks for sharing and thanks for the comments, guys, even the trolls, you were great. Also, please stop giving awards. It's a throwaway. Don't waste your money. Edit 3. Really appreciate all the comments and DMS. But my phone's going a bit mad with it all, so I'm gonna delete the account. I'm gonna keep the post up though, cause people have posted a bunch of links I'd like to look into this weekend. Thanks all. Not the a-hole. You're a goddamn hero. If your parents think that's an acceptable way to talk to a child, they had it coming. Bullies always whine when the tables are turned. At most, you might want to talk to your daughter about how they've always been like this and a confrontation was bound to happen. She may blame herself or wonder if you'll yell at her like that someday. Knowing there's a history would help her understand. At 10, she'll have encountered bullies already, but may not know they don't change when they grow up. Opie replies, "Thanks for your comment. Didn't think of that. Definitely don't want my daughter thinking I'll ever react that way at her. Not the a-hole who laughs in a 10-year-old's face when they are just starting to learn a new skill. Their actions were out of line and uncalled for. Protect your daughter. Keep those horrible people far away from her." Next story. Am I the a-hole for untying my bikini top at a public pool? I 22F live at a pretty nice apartment complex and regularly use the pool to tan and swim. Today, I came to lay out and do some homework, and to my surprise, nobody was here. This was around 10 a.m. For context, this pool is pretty big, and if I had to guess, there's around 50 reclining pool chairs surrounding the pool. Well, about 15 minutes ago, 11:30-ish, a lady came with her kids, and out of every open spot chose the seats literally right next to me, annoying but fine. Well, I'm on my stomach laying out in my bikini minding my own business and have my bikini top untied so I don't get tan lines on my back. Keep in mind my upper parts are not showing, I'm completely on my stomach, and any side boob would be showing whether the straps are tied or not. Anyways, turn my head and smile at this lady as she's sitting down with her kids, and she gives me a disgusted look and starts scolding me for having my top untied in front of her kids. I was pretty taken aback and said, "Well, you could go sit somewhere else if you don't like it," and she called me an a-hole. So am I the a-hole for having my top untied in front of her kids? Edit. I think some people are confused. My boobs were not showing at all. My top was still on, only my back strap was untied. Also, there are many comments about the dangers of tanning. I hear your concerns. I do use sunscreen and go to the dermatologist every year or so. I am aware that skin cancer is dangerous. Laying out in Florida is no different than going on the boat for hours or spending the day at the beach. Also, almost everything in the US causes cancer, from the genetically modified food to the chemicals in our clothes. All I can do is live my life and take precautions when possible. Not sure where you live, but New York City passed a law that stated something like, a woman may walk about the city topless as long as she is not doing it for money. People need to lighten up. She could have taken up seats anywhere other than beside you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I have never understood why PPL feel this need to go sit/stand near a lone individual when they have access to other spots. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my sister's family live in my house after they sold theirs for a dream vacation? So, I 32 own a modest 3-bedroom house that I've been paying off for the last 10 years. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. My sister 29F and her husband 31M are the typical free-spirited types. They've always talked about quitting the rat race, living life to the fullest, all that. Well, a few months ago, they finally did it. They sold their house during a booming market, thinking the profit would fund a year-long break to travel. They believed they could stretch the money by traveling cheaply, staying in hostels or Airbnbs, and getting by with occasional odd jobs. At first, they stayed in nicer places and ate out a lot, thinking they had plenty of cushion, but within 2 months, they were out of money. They underestimated how quickly expenses would pile up, especially with 2 young kids, 7F and 5M, to feed and care for. Now that their funds are drained, they've decided to stop full-time travel, but don't want to settle down yet. Instead, they asked to live with me, rent-free, for the next 10 months while they figure things out. They say they'll still try to take some occasional trips if they find super cheap deals, but for the most part, they want to stay at my house. I told them no. My house isn't big enough, I don't want the disruption, and I certainly don't think it's fair for them to live off me because their plan failed. I offered to help them find an affordable rental or even cover part of their expenses for a couple of months so they could get back on their feet, but that wasn't enough. My sister blew up at me, calling me selfish and accusing me of being jealous of their adventurous lifestyle. To make it worse, my parents are siding with her, saying that family should help family and that I'm being too rigid. The thing is, my parents live in a small apartment and can't take in my sister's family, which is probably why they're pushing it on me. They say I don't understand the value of experiences and that I should be more supportive. Some of our mutual friends are also saying I should be more understanding. but I think it's completely unreasonable to expect me to house their whole family for nearly a year just because they didn't plan properly. Am I the a-hole? Then they should value the experience of homelessness. Definitely not the a-hole. You didn't sign up to be a hotel for your sister's impulsive decisions. Let them enjoy their dream vacation while you enjoy the peace and quiet of your own home. Next story. Am I the a-hole for silently changing my son's name after my brother and sister-in-law gave my nephew the name too? My wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy. We kept that name to ourselves, but my sister-in-law married to my brother found it out when she was still pregnant with my nephew almost 7 months old. She never said how. She just told us she loved the name, congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assumed she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother, and he said that his wife does like to browse through people's things like it was no biggie. Then when my nephew was born, they announced his name, and it was the name we chose. First, middle, and last name. My brother called right after sister-in-law posted the announcement, and he told me to keep quiet because his wife had a rough birth and she didn't need drama, and he knew we might not like it, but she really wanted the name. Her reason? My brother and I have matching twin-like names, and sister-in-law wanted to connect our 2 boys by just giving them the same name so they were each other's namesake. My wife and I talked it over and we decided to pick a different name. But we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of sister-in-law changing my nephew's name 6 months after a birth is harder to make a change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sisters said it made sense. Friends and my ILs understood why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this crap and taking away her choice to match the boys. He told me it was a dirty move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was a dirty move. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with both boys enrolled in the same schools with the very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal and it's harder to mix crap up now and we're just trying to gatekeep names. I think he's cray. So does my wife. She said he clearly doesn't want sister-in-law to be mad. But am I the a-hole for what I did? Like, are we weird for thinking of this kind of stuff? Definitely not the a-hole. Your brother is outraged that you took away Syl's choice to match the boys. What about the fact that she took away your choice to have an individual name? By invading your privacy? He's fine with that, I assume? Opie replies, he acted like it was no biggie while I'm thinking I need to keep a closer eye on her in future. But you didn't gatekeep. You didn't tell them they had to change the name they stole from you. You were quite kind and didn't make a fuss over it. They are mentally deficient. Congrats on your new baby. Not the a-hole for not letting sister-in-law dictate names. Her snooping was low-key whack. Your boy deserves an identity that's uniquely his, sans familial name cloning drama. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel. Our posts.